game is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe a certified pimp. He's so fly. Oh yes he is. I mean that boy does the shit. He's a mess he is. Fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare or get next to him because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean. From his white tee on down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
What up, everybody? It's your man, Ken Jackson. This is the Ken Jackson Experience. And I am glad to be here today. Very grateful to wake up this morning. And you should be too. So anyway, let's get to it. So, I hope you've been following this Derek Chauvin trial. So far, in my opinion, the prosecution has been doing a great job showing the world that this guy is truly a murderer. I honestly don't know how the defense is going to present a case next week. But, hey, everybody's entitled to a defense, so I guess they'll try. Now, understand that everything I'm about to say is my personal opinion, all right? So, all you white supremacist, Trump-loving haters out there, don't come at me with your bullshit. We've been taking your bullshit for far too long and ain't taking it no more. Anyhow, as I said, I don't know how the defense is going to defend this guy. I don't know what their strategy is other than trying to present a character assassination against Mr. Floyd. But the prosecution is not letting them do that. They've been heading off their strategy at the pass from day one. And I think they're doing a great job. I really do. I honestly believe that they're going to get a conviction. I do. Because it's a fact, Chauvin is a murderer. Regardless of anything that Floyd may have had in the system, regardless of his past, the cop had no business putting his knee across George Floyd's neck, or his back for that matter. And the forensic experts, the medical experts, all clearly showed that it was the actions of Derek Chauvin that caused George Floyd to die. Not any drugs he may or may have not taken. Not any pre-existing heart conditions or anything like that. George Floyd simply couldn't breathe. And he couldn't breathe because Derek Chauvin had his knee across his neck, his back, and his shoulders, but primarily across his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. You can't dispute that. You can't dispute it. Not to mention the fact that this guy's own police chief testified against him. The coroner, medical examiner, said that this was a homicide. All the other experts that have reviewed this case said that it was a homicide. So there is no reasonable doubt that I can see that the defense can present or create. But I'm not going to say I haven't been surprised in the past, because we've seen cases before that were slam dunk cases go awry because one or two jurors felt like they couldn't convict a cop just because he was a cop. And let me tell you something. There are cops out here doing the job every day. Every day they're out here in these crazy streets on the job, and somehow or another they manage not to kill anybody. There are cops that spend their entire careers and never have to pull their weapons. There are. I know some of them. But let me tell you something. Y'all are looking real bad when assholes like Derek Chauvin hit the news, because unfortunately, one bad apple does spoil the whole damn bunch. It's just the way it is. Y'all all look rotten, because this isn't the first time Derek Chauvin has done some bad shit. Think about how many times before he's gotten away with violating someone's civil rights and, wasn't prosecuted. Shit finally caught up with his ass. Thank God for the video. Thank God for all the other witnesses, like the Minneapolis EMT who was on the scene off duty, of course, but she was on the scene and she tried to intervene. Thank goodness for all the other witnesses who were there, who called the police on the police. But unfortunately, George Floyd is still dead. He's gone. He ain't coming back. And it shouldn't be this way. George Floyd shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have died. Not that dead. But like I said, I think we're going to get a conviction on this. And I say we as if I'm a part of the whole prosecution thing, but just as a general citizen, who understands the frustration of dealing with crooked ass cops, and having to deal with racism all of my life, directly and indirectly. I think we're going to get a conviction. I'm not going to call it justice, because, as I said before, it shouldn't have even come to this. Shouldn't have to go through this to begin with. But what's done is done, so hopefully this time the justice system will work. Now, I know a few of you on my feed this past week have been saying some crazy shit. Talking about, George Floyd should have complied and this and that. He was not resisting at all. In fact, the time he was moving or trying to move, he was simply just trying to breathe. And the experts noted that George Floyd was trying everything within his power just to get a breath of air into his lungs, because he knew he was dying. And this officer wasn't caring. They clearly showed that George Floyd was dead at least 3 minutes before Officer Chauvin took his knee off of his neck. Full stop. Think about that. George Floyd was dead for 3 whole minutes, at least, before Derek Chauvin decided to get off his neck. Now, quite honestly, I don't think 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, or even life in prison is enough. Honestly, I think as a police officer, his punishment should be much harsher. I'm all for execution. I'm all for eye for an eye. I'm all for it. And to take it a step further, me personally, I think Derek Chauvin should be killed the same way he killed. He should be executed in the same manner that he executed George Floyd. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, Ken, that's cruel and unusual punishment, and that's evil and this and that. But you know what? He didn't think it was cruel and unusual punishment when he took the life of George Floyd. He didn't give a good goddamn about how George Floyd was feeling or what he was going through as he was slowly and methodically taking his life away from him. What if that had been your loved one under Derek Chauvin's neck? I gotta say, if it was somebody close to me or somebody that I loved and care about, even if I was there, and just as a bystander, I don't think I could have let it happen. I just don't think I could have let it happen. This is one of the reasons a few months back I said that, maybe what we need to start having is our own community protection forces to keep these cops honest when they come into the neighborhoods, trying to arrest people. Maybe we need our own armed community support teams to be able to intervene when the police are trying to kill us. Because it just happens too much. It just happens too much. If this hadn't been captured on videotape, we wouldn't even be at a trial right now. Derek Chauvin would still be on the job looking for his next victim. Think about that. And even with the videotape, there was no guarantee that it was even going to be brought to trial. But thank goodness, thank God, people decided that enough was enough and protested to the point where the DA had no choice but to bring charges. The evidence was so strong and clear, the outrage was such that it was either bring this man to trial or burn Minneapolis to the ground. And I'm afraid that's what would happen if Derek Chauvin gets off. If this guy gets acquitted, I'm not calling for a violent uprising, but there's going to be a violent uprising if Derek Chauvin is not convicted and sentenced. If he's not held accountable for his crime, it's going to be real bad in Minneapolis and probably a few other cities, because We're just fed up. We're tired. We are tired of being killed by the state. We are tired of being hunted down and murdered by the ones that we pay taxes to protect us. We go to work every day and we pay our taxes just like every other white person in this country. But we don't get the same respect. We don't get the same treatment. We don't. And to all my white friends out there, I don't care who the fuck you are, you just don't understand what that's like. You can never understand what it's like to walk out your door every day and have to be more afraid of the police than the common criminals in the streets. You just can't understand it. You never will. So don't even comment on this, because you got no place to comment in regards to black lives and the struggles that we have to go through. Of course, all of you aren't white supremacists. Of course, all of you aren't racist. But all of you have the privilege of being white in America, whether you even realize it or not. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Just because of the fact that you're white, you have privilege. You have the privilege of going out in public and not being suspected of a crime just because you're black. You have the privilege of walking and driving around in public and not fitting the description. You have the privilege of so many things in America that me and my people have never had the privilege of. And I was speaking with someone a few days ago, and they were asking me, why? Why do we have to live like this? But it's by design. America was built on white supremacy. America was built on racism and hate and violence. And it took 500 years for us to get to this point. It's going to take 5,000 years to fix it, if it can be fixed at all. I'm really afraid it's going to be a lot more blood spilled before we see any improvement. Really. Unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to be. I try to remain optimistic about things, but I don't know. I'm just worried that, like I said, we're really going to come to a civil uprising in this country before things start to change. And we won't be the ones starting it. We'll be the ones defending ourselves. We already saw back on January 6th how a small percentage of white America feels when they tried to overthrow the government. Literally, they tried to overthrow our U.S. government and change an election because they didn't like the outcome. And right now, 47 states are working to change voter laws that are going to be so restrictive against black and brown folks. It is. These new laws that they're trying to pass, like the ones they just passed in Georgia, are based in racism. You can't deny it. These fools sign this into law on the sneak tip behind closed doors and didn't even allow Georgia legislators to witness the signing. Actually had one of our sisters arrested because she was just trying to do her job and witness the signing of this new law for her constituents. And they arrested her. This is what we've come to in America. And then not to mention that they signed it behind closed doors, but then they took a photo op standing in front of a picture of a Georgia plantation. Just the symbolic nature of that picture ought to tell you where their heads were at. Just that alone ought to tell you what the new voting laws are all about in Georgia. Don't get it twisted. Racism is alive and well. If they could bring back slavery, they would. And if we keep getting caught slipping and not participating in the process of trying to restructure this government, then we will be back in bondage. And I'm talking to all you woke ass niggas out there talking about don't participate in the system because it ain't built for us. You damn right it wasn't built for us. But the only way we're going to change it is from the inside out. We're not strong enough to go to war. We don't have the numbers to go head to head. But we have to be like the Trojans. We have to get inside. We have to get our horse inside the gates. And destroy the system from the inside out. That means we got to participate in the political process. Politics work from the bottom up, y'all. Not from the top down. The presidency is the last link in the chain. It all starts with our city and state representatives. And we have to start taking over this country town by town, city by city, district by district. It means we got to vote. We got to participate in the process. We have to get people in to these offices that are going to actually do the job for the people. That's the only way. Unless you're ready to die for the cause, then I say, let's go to war. It's up to you. Anyhow, I'm your man's Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. I will see y'all soon. The live show is coming. Morning coffee is coming. Please follow me. Social media, Facebook, YouTube, Crazy Baby TV World. Visit my website, www.crazybabytvworld.com. Subscribe to the newsletter. Leave your comments. Like it, share it, all that shit. Thank you. I'm out.